You ever feel like you're caught up in a system, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is? Well, today we're going to dig into a really powerful idea from our source material that actually gives it a name: modern Babylon. And no, it's not a city on a map. It's a mindset, a kind of cultural current that's shaping our world way more than we probably realize. So let's get into it. Right? It's that exact feeling, like you're on a treadmill that's always speeding up, constantly pushing you towards more money, more status, more everything. It feels so modern, but what's fascinating is that our source material uses an ancient text to diagnose what's really going on today. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to define what this modern Babylon thing even is. Then we'll break down the system by looking at what our source calls its four spirits. After that, we'll explore the call to actually step out of this mindset. And finally, we'll talk about the hope that's offered beyond it. All right, let's dive right in. What exactly is modern Babylon? The first and most important thing to get right off the bat is we are not talking about a physical place. It's not a city, it's a system. Here's the core of it, right here. Think of it as the invisible operating system running in the background of global culture. It's a mindset that automatically puts self, wealth, pleasure, and power right at the very top of the priority list. Above everything else. Grasping this one idea is the key to unlocking everything else we're going to talk about. Okay, so if it's a system, how does it actually work? What makes it tick? Well, our source material breaks it down into four distinct spirits, or you could call them dominant mindsets. And once you see these, you start to see the system's influence pretty much everywhere. First up, we've got the spirit of materialism. It all stems from this quote in the book of Revelation. It paints this picture of a world where merchants get super rich off of an abundance of luxury. I mean, does that sound familiar? It's pointing straight at an economy that's just built on endless consumption. So, fast forward to today. What does that look like? The way our source sees it, it's a world that's basically addicted to buying stuff. It's a culture where our self-worth gets all tangled up in what we own and what our status is. And those merchants from the quote? Well, today, they're the big tech companies, the global corporations, the markets, all shaping what we want, and creating a system where money itself can become the ultimate goal. All right, spirit number 2 is all about immortality, and it's often supercharged by entertainment. The source text uses this really intense metaphor, talking about nations drinking a wine that gets them spiritually drunk, totally intoxicated. So what does that intoxication look like in the 21st century? The argument here points straight at our media and entertainment. How things that were once seen as shameful are now normalized, or even celebrated as personal freedom. And the key idea is that this system isn't just some abstract thing out there. No, it gets piped directly into our homes, into our hearts and minds, through our screens. And this leads us straight into the third spirit, pride. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that attitude of total self-sufficiency. It's the mindset that says, I'm in control. I've got this. I don't need help from anyone, especially not God. And hey, this isn't a new idea. Our source connects this spirit of pride all the way back to a much older story, the Tower of Babel. It's that same fundamental drive, right? Humanity trying to build its own way to heaven on its own terms without any help. Today, this pride shows up as this deep-seated belief that we can solve all of our own problems. It's about putting our ultimate faith in human ingenuity, our science, our politics, our technology, to save us. And if you drill all the way down, the core belief is simple: I am my own God. Okay, the fourth and final spirit. Now this one's a little trickier, maybe the most subtle of them all: false religion. The source text uses this very provocative biblical image, the harlot, to describe a kind of spirituality that looks good on the outside, but is empty on the inside. It's all about worship without any real obedience. Think of it like spirituality a la carte, You pick and choose a little of this, a little of that, follow some self-help gurus, whatever makes you feel good. Truth becomes totally relative. And the argument here is that this ultimately just becomes a way of worshiping creation, our own ideas, nature, or even ourselves, instead of the creator. It can look really holy, but it's missing that core of genuine commitment. So, we've just diagnosed this whole 4-part system. It's kind of heavy, right? But the story absolutely does not end there. In fact, this is the turning point. It's not just a critique, it's a call to action. And this right here, this command is the heart of the entire response. Come out of her, my people. Now, it is crucial to get this right. The source is clear this isn't about physically leaving society, running for the hills to build a bunker. It's about a radical shift in how we think and how we live, right in the middle of it all. And look at this. This is where it all becomes crystal clear. It's like taking the system's values and just flipping them completely upside down. Instead of valuing possessions, you value people. Instead of trying to dominate others, you serve them. You trade pride for a pure heart, and you stop worshiping all the modern idols in favor of worshiping God alone. It's a total paradigm shift. This brings us to the final section, and really, it's all about hope. It sets up one last massive contrast, the fate of this worldly system versus the future promised to those who choose a different path. So check this out. Our source points to this incredible 1-2 punch in the book of Revelation. In chapter 18, you read about the complete and total collapse of the Babylonian system. It all comes crashing down. But then you just turn the page to chapter 19 and boom, it's a wedding feast, a massive celebration. The end of one story is the beginning of a much, much better one.
And this just brings it all home. The call to come out of Babylon isn't just about running from a broken system. It's about preparing and running to a joyful future. It completely reframes the whole thing. It's not just a warning, it's a hopeful invitation.
Which, of course, leaves us with this final, really challenging question. If this system is woven into everything, our culture, our economy, our entertainment, how do we actually live differently? What does it look like day in and day out to resist that constant pull? That's the question we're left to think about.